And Trent, just a few days away, Georgia heads to Vanderbilt, SEC East opening weekend. I can't remember the last time that happened. Can you?
I can't. You see games where you open up with some teams like, um,
You open up with Murray State.
I mean, Clemson
Or yeah.
somebody like that. But you don't see many games where you open up with the SEC foe. So
No, you don't.
it's different playing Vanderbilt at the beginning of the season than you do at the end
Yeah.
or towards the middle.
Now, in terms of Georgia heading up to Vanderbilt, is there any cause for concern right now with you, Georgia heading up there and maybe being blindsided by Vanderbilt, or not being prepared enough, or do you think they go up there and coast? What is your kind of prediction on it?
I mean, I don't ever see a Kirby Smart team going into a season or going into a game unprepared, whether it's Murray State or um, Vanderbilt or whoever it might be.
Now, in terms of
So
Georgia,
so I think Georgia's very talented.
oh yeah,
I think they're going to be this might be Kirby Smart's best team.
you do you think so? Really? I know people have been saying that. I know the national pundits have definitely said that. Now Trent Smallwood coming on here saying you think this is Kirby's best team?
I do because I think depth, and it's not just depth at offense line. They had depth off the offense line last year, but they got depth all over. I think um, the only kind of mystery up to this point right now is wide receiver, um, tight end.
Yeah.
But Charlie Warner's a gamer. I think Charlie Warner will fit the pass catching game better than Isaac Nolde.
You think they're going to actually use a tight end, huh?
I think they will use tight end.
Guys, and Trent didn't even know it, but he segmented right into one of our calls. So I think I've got this right, and this one's actually going to be about the wide receivers. So let's take a listen.
Hey guys, my name is Jake. I'm out here in Athens, excited about the show. My question is about the receivers. After losing our top four receivers from last year, who do y'all see leading the team in receptions? Do you think it'll be the same guy who leads the team in touchdowns and yards? Thanks guys, excited about the show.
Well, thank you, Jake, for giving us a call on the voicemail line. Again, guys, you can reach us at 620-UGA-TALK. 620-UGA-TALK. I will have that on a banner for the next week. Again, trying to get everything situated over here with Trent and myself. We've got a nice thing going right here. I think we're up to some people watching on YouTube right now. Make sure if you are watching on YouTube that you get in some questions for us. We will definitely take them on YouTube, as well as if you want to call the show, 620-UGA-TALK. 620-842-8255. You guys can call. Duke Nukem in the chat says, hey, y'all, good to hear from you, Duke. Hopefully you can hear us. But, Trent, back to the question from Jake. By the way, Jake, thanks for calling in and saying that for us.
That wasn't the Rooster, was it?
No, it was not the Rooster. It was not Jake Roos. It was not. But his question was pretty valid. A lot of fans right now are concerned because where are the wide receivers going to come from? Where's the production going to come from in terms of who's catching the ball, Trent?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I've been high on George Pickens ever since he signed, or before he signed. I think he is going to be your ultimate go-to guy before the season's out. But besides that, who leads the team in yards? Who leads the team in receptions? Demetrius Robertson. He has a big year. He's playing where he needs to be playing in the slot. You're going to see a similar approach to kind of what they did with McCole Hardman, throwing those swing passes, getting them out in open space, and we know what kind of speed he's got.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything last year, Trent. Is that a cause for concern?
Well, I think the last year was a combination of things. He came in. He probably expected to come in and play, and when he didn't play, he probably got frustrated. He dealt with some injuries, and then when he had his opportunities, two or three in one of the games where he dropped.
Yep.
And he dropped them. But that's not Demetrius Robertson. We've seen Demetrius Robertson play.
We've seen him since, 10th grade year?
I mean,
how long have we been on UGA Sports? 6 years now?
I think we've seen Demetrius Robertson since he was 9th or 10th grade
yeah.
year. I mean, the kid's a phenomenal athlete. And, McCole Hardman at times had a lack of hands. Struggled with a little bit catching the ball. That's not
Mm-hmm.
Demetrius Robertson. Demetrius Robertson can go get it and he can catch it. So I think he provides that mismatch at slot, putting him there, and I think he ultimately lead the team in touchdowns.
Who besides Demetrius steps up? Because I think I was just giving you a hard time, but I think that I think we all think D-Rob's going to put up big numbers. Who besides D-Rob though do you see kind of stepping in? Is it Tyler Simmons?
I think Tyler Simmons will have I think he'll have a good year. I'm not going to say he's going to blow it out of the water.
Right.
But I think the key guy in this for Georgia, you know what you're going. I mean, George Pickens is going to be really good. Demetrius Robertson going to be really good. I think the key is Matthew Landers.
Yeah.
Can he provide that big-bodied
Javon
receiver?
Wims type.
Yeah, I mean
That's what you need.
if you have a George Pickens on one side, Matthew Landers on the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, you got two big-body guys with a speedster like D-Rob in the slot.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is.
Do you see any of these guys filling that Javon Wims role this year? Like, do you see Matt Landers being able to step up, take those crazy acrobatic passes, or is that just not in his repertoire yet, or we don't know about it?
I mean, I think they both can make the spectacular catch.
Sure.
Pickens and Landers. I think you have to make you got to make that easy catch, the first down catch, the outs for a first down.
Sure.
The hitch. They got to make those tough catches in space. Two or three defenders on them, trying to get that first down. I think that's the key of just being consistent.
Yeah. Kind of moving into our next question. Before we do that, though, I've got the projected starters, according to Anthony Dasher, up on the screen. This table is moving like crazy, so I apologize, guys. We'll get that straightened out, too. I'll quit touching it. But obviously we've got Fromm, Swift, Andrew Thomas, Solomon Kinley, Trey Hill. Ben Cleveland, Cade Mays at right guard, we'll touch on in a second. Right tackle, Isaiah Wilson's not being unseated there. Charlie Warner, it's his job. Matt Landers, D-Rob, and Tyler Simmons, all three wide receivers that we touched on. But right guard, Ben Cleveland had the job last year, Trent. He had it for, the first half of the season, got injured, and then Cade Mays came in, true freshman, Mahler, would probably start on any team. Either one of these guys would start on any team probably in the country.
Right.
How do you kind of play it as a let's let Ben get it because he's got more experience, but if you don't want to have Ben in the game or Cade in the game for that matter thinking if I make a mistake, I'm coming out, right? That's not what you want.
Right. Me personally, I don't see how you keep Cade Mays off the field.
Me neither.
That guy's an animal, and he fits that guard position great. But on the other side, Ben Cleveland's got your he can be a leader.
Exactly.
So, it's tough. But the thing is, both of them are going to play. There's going to be a lot of rotating. It wouldn't even surprise me to see Cade Mays swing out and play some right tackle, left tackle, even to give Andrew Thomas or big Isaiah Wilson a break.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see what happens. But I think they're going to have probably a 7-man rotation. I think that 7th man might be Jamari Salyer.
Yep.
So.
All right, guys. Well, that was our first call-in question. Let's get over to the YouTube comments right quick, Trent. We've got Duke Nukem in here. He said, can't tell you guys my vent handle, but love what you guys do. This is probably smart. We've also got him. He said, I'm trying to get Roddy drunk enough to call in. Give me a few.
Oh.
You're gonna need a few more than that, Duke.
That's the reason why he don't have the show at night.
Right, exactly. So Austin Springer comes in and he asks, Trent, where do you put Georgia's chances with Sewell right now? Haven't heard much lately.
Sewell's a tough one because his brother actually plays for Oregon, but I would say that Georgia, if he leaves the state and he comes, he's going to Georgia. I think Georgia and Oregon are the top two. I would even say I think Georgia has a how would you say it? I would say Georgia has a very good chance of landing Sewell.
And is there a player comparison for him that sticks out? I don't think there is.
No, there's not. we saw him at the Rivals Challenge in Atlanta, and he is just massive. And a lot of people are like, how's he going to play linebacker at that size? The kid can move for 270 pounds. I mean,
that's the craziest statement you've probably said all night. The kid can move at 270 pounds, and he can.
It's not normal.
It's not. It shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't be possible.
It's definitely not normal.
But yeah, I think Georgia has a good shot at landing him. I think right now it's kind of one of those things where football season's getting back into the swing of it. I'm sure they're starting school back up out there on the West Coast too.
If you're at ugasports.com, you'll know my prediction.
Yeah, you will. There you go. A shameless plug from Trent right there, guys. While Trent plugged that, right now you can get $75 Adidas gift card if you sign up for a year subscription with ugasports.com. Enter promo code Adidas, ADIDAS. You get $75 gift card to Adidas, and you'll get a whole year of being able to harass Trent on the Vault, which is our recruiting message board.
I bet one of those is Duke Nukem.
I bet it is. I bet that's probably why he cannot say his Twitter handle.
I got to give a shout out to Bulldog. He told me I was going to give him a shout out. So.
Okay. All right. There he is. We're going to get to the next question that we have on voicemail here. This one is going to be about the coordinators, Trent. We're going to switch it up a little bit, see what these guys are talking about with coordinators.
Hey, Paul and Trent. This is Brandon in Athens at TBrandonB on Twitter. Give me a follow. Got a question for you guys. The Dogs are entering the season with something that I feel like a whole lot of people are not talking about. We've got 2 new coordinators. I think it could be a big deal with learning how to work together with the team, maybe some chemistry. Give me your thoughts on how you think that may or may not affect the team. And like Popeye's chicken sandwiches, I'm out for now.
Just like Popeye's chicken sandwiches, he's out for now. That's Brandon over in Athens. Thanks for calling in, Brandon. Not going to shout your Twitter handle out, but if you guys heard it, go ahead and follow him. He's a pretty funny guy over there on the old tweeter. But very valid question, Trent, that I don't think a lot of people have talked about. Initial thoughts?
I mean, I'm not as concerned about the defense as I'm anxious to see how this offense looks. Is it going to be different? You look at James Coley, and a lot of people say he wasn't successful at Miami. I mean, that's fine. I look more at personnel, what they used. They used like a guy like James Cook.
Sure.
And they did things with him. I mean, they got him out in open space. They threw little screens for him. If you go back and look, Miami's backup quarterback, I can't think of it right off the top of my head.
Tate Martell?
Dude. Miami's backup running back at the time.
Threw them all off course right there.
I think Duke Johnson was there.
Yeah, Duke was there.
But the backup running back had like 500 yards receiving.
He did.
So it's the little things that I look at. How's he going to use the tight ends? How's he going to use a guy like James Cook? Is he going to put the ball in the playmaker's hands? Because I think that's one thing that Georgia has lacked the last 3 or so years.
10,
yeah.
8, something like that. You're giving them a lot of credit with the 3.
Getting the ball in your playmaker's hands
Yeah.
is important, and I'd like to see what James Coley does there. All right, Dan Lanning. This is Kirby Smart's defense. It's Nick Saban. Nick, you see turnover on the defensive coordinator at Alabama. The defense remains
Doesn't
the same.
matter.
It's Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. It's their defense. So we're not going to see much change there.
Are you afraid that, let's say it's the fourth quarter of a close game, whether it be Notre Dame or Texas A&M, something like that? What if Kirby jumps on the mic and kind of takes over the game? What is that? Do you think that has any effect on the players at all? I'm just kind of thinking through okay, you said it's Kirby Smart's defense, which I agree with. I think that he is going to be the one really involved heavily with the defense this year. I think he's got a lot of trust in James Coley to kind of manage that offense. He's got a lot of good offensive coaches over there. But what happens if Kirby Smart jumps in the fourth quarter, starts calling plays? Do the players kind of look at it like, well, I thought Lanning was the guy? Or is it more of like, well, we know what Kirby can do?
I'm not sure the players are going to know. I mean,
Not true.
What's happening in that headset?
Yeah.
If you don't think Kirby's going to jump under the mic anyways, then
Yeah.
you're crazy, because I mean that's just what he does. That's what I mean, it was obvious we saw him jump on Jim Chaney a couple times last year.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I think it's going to be a process. Kirby's going to build trust, and as the season goes, it'll be a little bit more freer.
Sure.
But I think at the beginning of the season, of course, Kirby's going to have his hands on it. Kirby's going to have his hands on every single defensive call. But I think as the season goes, there's going to be a trust factor that grows.
Kind of the last question on the coordinators. Do you see the offense or defense? So this is a two-part question. Offense progressing or regressing? Defense progressing or regressing with the new coordinators?
It's a tough question because, I mean,
I'm not going to hold you to it because we haven't watched the game yet. But if you were to say, is offense going to get better or worse, and defense better or worse?
Defense is going to get better because they're going to be better at linebacker.
Okay.
No, there's no Roquan Smith driving through Athens. I'm not sure Roquan Smith will ever drive through Athens again because, I mean, he's a special talent.
Oh yeah.
But you're just better at the position. You got better athletes at the position. The Monty Ross, when Monty Ross was on the field last year, Georgia's defense was a lot better. And that takes away nothing from guys like Juwan Taylor, but Monty Ross is a player. I think the defensive line is going to be a year older. Jordan Davis is going to be a year older. Your back end, your safeties, a year older. And I don't think you lose much at defensive back because at cornerback because you have Eric Stokes who came on last year. Posted a stat at Uga Sports today that he only allowed 10 receptions and 25 targets.
Yeah, his numbers are tops on PFF, Pro Football Focus.
And he might not be DeAndre Baker yet.
But I mean, he's close.
But I think you're going to be more experienced and better on the other side, which is going to take the pressure off Stokes a little bit.
What about the offensive side of the ball with Coley? Regress or progress?
I think it's progress.
Yeah.
Simply because you got Jake Fromm at quarterback and you got a mammoth offensive line.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift.
And I think it's something that you need to be weary of with the wide receivers, but at the same time, like Trent said, the offensive line is probably the best in the nation, I would say.
I would say so.
Yeah. Your running backs are amazing. Jake Fromm is amazing. Wide receivers, you don't have many coming back. You don't have pretty much any coming back. But I don't think it's a big of an issue as some people are making it out to be.
I don't. And, I mean, look, these receivers are talented.
Sure.
They've been working on timing and with Jake Fromm for 8 months now
at least.
So I don't see the big issue. I think the talent's there.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, the next guy step in. If somebody can't get it done, next guy steps in. And I think that guy you're going to see early in Nashville on Saturday night is George Pickens. I just don't know what number he's going to wear.
1 or 83. That's going to be the question. Trent, we've got a couple questions coming in over on YouTube. Again, guys, you can call into the show. Call into the show 620-UGA-TALK. That's 620-842-8255. We will take your calls live on air. We're going to be on here for probably another 15 minutes or so. So make sure to call in 620-UGA-TALK. Guys, we will definitely answer all your questions on air as long as you ask a legit question so we can put it on air. Yeah, don't mess up the broadcast if you don't mind. But guys, we got a couple questions coming in. Trey Everson says, Trent, what's the deal on Justin Rogers? What's the deal on him? Is it something that you need to get over to UGAsports.com for that, or?
I think that's one that's going to it's not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen in the next 2 weeks. But I think it's just one to keep an eye on as the season goes on. See where he visits. See where he ends up. He's committed to Kentucky. I do not believe he ends up at Kentucky.
I don't either.
But that's going to be one to watch and one to monitor and one to stay tuned into UGA Sports, following that closely because we'll have all the coverage. But I can say that he does have family that's in Georgia's side, in Georgia's corner, that wants him to go to Georgia. And I think a big deal with that is the Dwan Mathis situation.
Sure.
Teammates in high school. And that all of them saw how Georgia treated one,
With the
took care of him
with the hospital surgery,
with
everything.
the brain surgery.
Yep.
And I think that's a big. I mean, that wins over parents.
Oh, sure.
So I think that's been a big deal for all the guys up there in Michigan.
I'm guessing he's going to eventually end up on the defensive line at whatever school he goes to. I know he started off as offensive line. Now he's defensive line. Where do you end up seeing Justin Rogers, whether it be at Georgia or not? Is he more a defensive line guy?
I think it's a defense line. And, I mean, Georgia's got 5 offensive linemen in this class. But I think it's a situation where you bring him in. He's too good not to bring in. You bring him in, and then if it don't work out on the defense line, you shift him over. I mean,
is it kind of like a Lamont Galliard type situation almost?
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
But when I talked to Adam Friedman, which is our Midwest, not Midwest, he's our Northeast. He covers. He told me that that Justin Rogers is a 5-star prospect, wherever he's at.
Either side of the ball.
Either side of the ball.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And they've re-ranked him on Rivals to defensive line.
Yep.
And he's still a 5-star.
Correct.
So, I mean, I don't think that's you just get him on campus. That's the main thing. Get him on campus, and I mean the defensive line recruiting. Everybody talks about defensive line. He would be a big plus to that defensive line group.
Here's a crazy question from Darren Johnson. He says, which freshman record a stat? And the reason he asked that is because he says Florida did not have a single true freshman record a stat last year. I hope UGA has a few that have a catch or make some tackles.
Florida doesn't have any freshmen enrolled, do they?
Oh boy, that's gonna. If you like that comment from Trent, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends. He's throwing shade out here, but the obvious would be George Pickens. I would assume is going to record a stat, probably in the first game potentially. What other freshmen do you see making an impact?
George Pickens, Nakobe Dean, Dominic Blaylock, Trayvon Walker.
Yeah, Trayvon. Yep.
Nolan Smith.
Yeah, Tyreek Stevenson.
We'll see on Tyreek Stevenson. Georgia's deep at that position.
I think he's right now working 3rd or 4th corner.
I think he's the 4th corner behind DJ Daniel, Stokes, and Campbell.
Speaking of which, on our little projected starters there, this was from last week with Anthony Dasher. He had Eric Stokes at left cornerback and right cornerback Tyson Campbell. But I think DJ Daniel, the transfer from Georgia Military College, is actually going to be the starter at corner over Tyson Campbell, which kind of blows my mind a little bit because Eric Stokes, 3-star kid from Eastside, barely had any offers. Tyson Campbell, 5-star, every offer. DJ Daniel had to go to community college, Georgia Military College, to even get larger offers. And now both those guys are starting over a 5-star, and Tyreek Stevenson, even though Stevenson is a freshman.
I mean, DJ Daniel can play. I mean, just watching him at Georgia Military, I mean, that kid can play.
He's like a technician.
He's got good hips. The one thing that Campbell struggled with last year is getting his head turned.
Sure.
And DJ Daniel brings that experience. That's one thing. He brings experience to the position group. And like or not, you got Eric Stokes back there who's only started 6 games.
If that, yeah, it was something
so,
like that.
I think DJ Daniel brings some experience, but I think you're going to see Tyson Campbell a good bit too. I think you're going to see them both.
And just like that, we have transitioned into our 3rd voicemail that we've gotten. Again, guys, if you want to get on the air, 620-UGA-TALK, 620-842-8255. Trent, I am going to have that number memorized by the next time we come on here. I'm going to have it. I don't know about you. 620-842-8255. Boom, I already got it. Our 3rd voicemail, though, I think it's coming from Willie. Go ahead and take a listen, Trent.
Willie.
Hey, this is Willie from Monroe. Just curious, Georgia brought in 2 highly rated JUCO transfers with last year's class, Daniels and Johnson. And wondering if y'all think that either one of them are going to be contributors, and are they worth the recruiting slots they're taking up in this year's class, or do you think they're going to be worth the slots that they're taking up in this year's class? Thanks, I'll listen.
He said he'll hang up and listen. But he brings up a good point because JUCOs, you don't bring in JUCOs to sit. Kirby Smart, I think, said that in one of his press conferences recently. You don't bring in JUCOs to fill a warm seat because you could bring in a project freshmen and work them through. So, Willie, thank you for the call right there. That makes total sense, though, in what he said. Are they worth the roster spots? I know we've talked about Daniels, but it seems like it so far, right? But Georgia has also missed on quite a few JUCOs throughout the years.
Look, Georgia missed on some JUCOs throughout the years, and this wasn't under Kirby Smart.
You are correct.
The Kirby Smart era. Jermaine Johnson and DJ Daniels will absolutely contribute this year. Well, as you see, DJ Daniels already pushing Tyreek Campbell or
Tyson and Tyreek, though. Yeah.
Tyson Campbell for that cornerback spot. Might already surpassed him. We'll see Saturday night in Nashville, but Jermaine Johnson's going to be on the field a lot too. You got Azeez Ojulari starting at that jack position, but
which is crazy. We can touch on that in a second, but yeah.
But I think maybe early on in the season, or maybe first couple games, you're going to see when it's an obvious passing down, you're going to see Jermaine Johnson and Nolan Smith on the field.
What do you think about the transformation Azeez has made, and now he's starting in front of all those guys?
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I was at the game where Azeez tore his ACL, and it was devastating. But he did not look like what he looks like right now.
No.
That joker has been he used his time wisely rehabbing from his ACL surgery, and he has totally transformed his body.
Yeah. Azeez, Walter Grant, you still have out there. He's a senior this year, right? He's been around a long time.
Yeah.
But Walter Grant has been around the Georgia football program for a long time. But I think those outside linebacker positions, Kirby Smart touched on in one of his press conferences, it's going to be a rotation. I think people are going to really weigh in heavy on who's the starter, who plays the first snap. But it all depends on what coverage is. It all depends on the situation. Like you said, third down, second down, is it a 1st and 10? 2nd and 3, are we going to have to stop the run? Are we going to have to stop the pass? These are all things going through Kirby Smart's head. The starters for me, especially defense, on positions like that where you're so loaded, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me. Look at the snap count that Trent posted up over at UGAsports.com afterwards. That'll tell you a lot more about who's really getting the snaps as opposed to who started the game. You could start the game, play 5 snaps, and you're done. So really take a look at Trent's snap count over on UGAsports.com. I think he posted that, Sunday or Monday, something like that. It's after the game. Have you time to decompress from the game, kind of see who played. When you're watching that replay, you can take a look at them. Trent, we've got a couple more questions coming in. We have not had a caller yet. At least I don't think we've had a caller. We have not had a caller yet. Hoping somebody will call in live so we can test that out. Please give us a call, 620-842-8255. But while we're waiting on somebody to give us a call, we've got a question from Austin Springer. He says, is Elias Ricks a real possibility? Seems like Kendall is working hard on him. If you don't know who Kendall is, Kendall Milton, running back, 5-star out of California, committed to University of Georgia a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. But Elias Ricks is a 5-star corner that is a technician, much like Stevenson.
That's one of those believe it when I see it.
Took the words out of my mouth.
He has been committed to LSU for a while now, and him and Kendall Milton are good friends.
Sure.
There's nothing.
A lot of these guys are, though, guys. I didn't mean to cut you off, Trent, but a lot of these guys who go to these 5-stars, the opening, they're all really good friends.
Oh yeah, I mean you got a guy like Ringo out
sure.
in Arizona that's talking with a bunch of these guys.
Sure.
So I mean there ain't nobody in Arizona. So I mean. Kendall Milton is recruiting. Got everybody, and I've seen things about Zach Evans.
Sure.
Is Kendall Milton going to be? Is that going to push him away? No. Kendall Milton is
snaps,
recruiting.
Yeah.
He is recruiting Zach Evans to come to Georgia with him. He wants him to be with him. Simply because if anybody watched Kendall Milton's game last year,
sure.
last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He probably don't want that beating. That joker's taking a beating in high school.
Yeah.
He's getting the ball a ton. He's taking a beating. So
that's what happens when you're a 5-star running back, though, at high school.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting the ball 40 times. You're going to get it as many times as you can.
And it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah.
But he is recruiting. And back to Ricks, Georgia's got to get him on campus. That's the main thing. If he starts, if he visits, and then maybe takes an unofficial, then an official, well, yeah, maybe things are getting a little bit serious. But you got to get him on campus.
Sure.
I mean, we'll see what happens this fall.
All right, guys. A couple more questions before we get off of here. Remember, guys, every Thursday, 8 p.m. I know we were a little late today trying to get these logistics worked out with our camera, our mics, and everything. I think we're good to go, though. The only thing we haven't tried yet is a call. So if you would like, 620-UGA-TALK. I know I've said it a million times, but I want to try that out. So if somebody could give us a call, ask us any type of question about Georgia football, and you could be the wrap-up for the show. But while we're waiting on that, Darren Johnson says, I'll be at the Marietta game tomorrow. Anybody else going? I am going tomorrow to North Gwinnett and Armwood. Where are you headed?
I'll be where am I going? I'll be in McDonough at
ELCA,
ELCA.
Eagles Landing.
Yep, I'll be in McDonough tomorrow night, and I will not be at Marietta.
No,
unfortunately.
I will not be at Marietta either. They had a huge game against Rome, though. Harrison Bailey threw for 5 touchdowns. I think Eric Gilbert had a couple receptions as well.
A couple.
But yeah, a couple. But Drew Hundeby says, how many sacks are we going to have Saturday? We as in, I'm assuming UGA, you're not a Vandy fan watching this. So how many sacks is Georgia going to have Saturday? It's a good question because they've got a lot of playmakers on that offensive side of the ball returning.
They do.
They've got a running back who was projected to be a third-round running back. He said, no, let me come back, try to improve that. They've got a wide receiver, Lipscomb, that's really good. They also have a tight end as well.
Yep.
So 3 major players at 3 different positions. Quarterback position's kind of up in the air from what we've gathered. They don't really know I'm sure they know who they're going to start, but they haven't released it at all. Nothing's been released on that. But how many sacks do you see Georgia getting on Saturday?
I'm going to say 3 or 4. I think 3 or 4. I think you're going to see a more aggressive approach. I think Georgia didn't send a lot of blitzes last year.
Sure.
And mainly because inside linebacker needed help on tight ends.
Yep.
You had a freshman corner in Tyson Campbell.
Yeah, Britton Cox not setting the edge.
There was a lot of factors that you had to put into the equation last year for Georgia not sending heat. Of course, you never want to give up that explosive play.
Sure.
That's what Kirby talks about all the time. No explosive plays.
Create havoc.
And I think with a more experienced secondary,
sure,
you're going to see him come after the passer a little bit more. So I'll say 3 or 4.
I'm going to go with 2, but I could see the 3 or 4. I am very curious to see how the defense changes up from Mel Tucker to Dan Lanning. I know Kirby is heavily involved in it. I know Lanning's going to want to have some of his plays in there too. So I'm curious to see how they're going to be a little bit different. A couple more questions before we get off, Trent. Jason Rayburn, thanks for watching, man. He says, Ringo or Ricks? Trent, who you taking? And just for you guys who don't know, been living under a rock, Keely Ringo, Elias Ricks, both 5-star corners. I think one's more interested in Georgia than the other. Both could be
number
possibilities.
5 and 6 in the country, or 4 and 6, 5 and 6.
Something like that. They're both of them top 10 in the nation, number 1 and number 2 corner in the nation. Trent, if you had to pick one, Keely Ringo or Elias Ricks, I know my pick.
Like, from a physical speed standpoint,
you got to pick one.
You got to take Ringo.
Yeah.
Because the kid is we talked about Sewell earlier. You don't find guys that look like Keely Ringo at cornerback.
No.
I mean, that kid's special, and he's got the speed. So if I'm picking one, I'm taking Ringo.
I'm taking Ringo as well. I wish you would have taken Ricks because I could have argued with you, but you put all my points out there, man. Last question before we get off of here, guys, since nobody wants to call in at the 620-842-8255. Trent, I got the number down, dude. I got it.
You got it.
620-UGA-TALK, 620-UGA-TALK. Give us a call, guys. Switching Lanes. Switching Lanes, I don't think that's your real name, but Switching Lanes says, is Georgia going to be undefeated by the SEC championship game, and will they finally get over the hump and beat Alabama? This is kind of the predictions. We'll do predictions right now. That'll kind of get us into that, and that'll wrap up the show. Trent, what's your take?
I do think Georgia goes undefeated. I think this is the first season that Georgia will go to the SEC championship undefeated.
So then they're going to be 1 or 2 probably going in, right?
I think Alabama will be undefeated.
Whew.
Well, they could be. Now the losses to inside linebacker have really take a hit.
Dylan Moses is...
That is a huge deal. I just talked about it. You know, you got to sit back more. You can't when you don't trust your backers, it puts more pressure on that D line to get pressure with the 4.
Is there? I know we're switching topics real quick, but is there a guy on Georgia's defense that is as valuable to Georgia as Dylan Moses was to Alabama? I cannot really think of one, to be honest.
On the defense?
Yeah, maybe J.R. Reed, maybe, but Dylan Moses is your quarterback on the defense.
He's Jake Fromm. If Georgia loses Jake Fromm, that's a similar situation.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. Dylan Moses going down for Alabama, do not downplay that. I think that is going to bite them in the butt at some point, whether it's against Georgia in the SEC championship game, whether it's against Auburn right before the SEC championship game, whether it's against LSU, Texas A&M, you name it. All of these offensive coordinators are now going to focus on the middle of the field, going to run slants, going to run, trap runs right to the middle of the field to see what those freshman linebackers at Alabama can do. It's going to be very interesting to see. Even against Duke, they're opening up against Duke. I want to see what they're doing out there, because when you lose a middle linebacker like that who's calling your defense, who is your quarterback on your defense, Trent just said he's pretty much like Jake Fromm going down for Georgia, which I kind of agree. That is a huge, huge deal.
Oh, it is. And I really think it's everything. It's calling plays. I mean, getting your plays communicated to your D-line, to your secondary. To
getting that freshman or sophomore set in the right spot, moving his butt over on the defensive line, because they have DJ Dale, true freshman, starting at nose tackle. I'm sure he would have felt a lot more comfortable had Dylan Moses been behind him and been able to slap his left cheek and say, move over to the right,
It's the same as baseball.
Oh, exactly.
You have to be strong up the middle.
Yep.
You have to be strong in the middle of the defense, at defense tackle. You got to be strong at inside linebacker. You got to be strong at safety. And that inside linebacker play, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt down the line. It might not hurt against Duke because they're going to out-athlete Duke.
Oh,
but
yeah.
LSU comes calling, that could be a big factor.
All right, Trent, we are going to sign off of here, guys. I'm hungry. Trent's over at my house. I think we're just hanging out.
He ain't making no food either.
I'm not making any food.
You got some bagel bites?
Yeah, I think I do, actually. I got Red Bear and Personal Pizza down
go.
there. That's the kick I'm on right now. Those and the Snyder hot buffalo wing pretzels.
Okay.
Boy, that's what you need right there, Trent.
Ma.
Yeah. Let me call my wife up here to get her started. Right before we go, Trent, prediction for the game. What's your score?
I think it's going to be around 38-13. I think I have that prediction down in the Uga Sports Prediction that's coming tomorrow.
I'm curious to what I know I already sent my prediction in. I think I was 42-13.
I really think that Georgia's going to look really good. They're going to be ready. They're conditioned. They're ready.
42-13 is what I got. You had what?
38-13.
Yeah, we're right there.
I think the issue with Vanderbilt is they lost some talent on that defense.
Oh, yeah.
And, they got some explosive guys on offense, but are they going to be able to stop Georgia? And I don't see it.
Trent doesn't see it. I don't see it either. It's going to be interesting, guys. Next week, Thursday, 8 p.m., same spot, Knuckleheads. That's Michael Wilbon's thing, but I got to come up with my own thing. But whatever.
Can we get a sponsor?
Yeah, Duke Nukem. Hey, man, where you work, bro?
I'd love somebody to come bring a plate of food right here like Roddy gets.
Right, yeah, he gets the Champy's chicken, man. He gets the Champy's chicken. But, hey, Duke, thanks for your time, man. Thanks for coming on. Quick, boys, 3 favorite sauces. So, dipping sauces or, 3 favorite sauces? All right, cool. Trent, what you got, man? I'm going to go ranch. Ranch is up there.
I like I do like the Arby's buffalo sauce.
I like the Arby's sauce. I just like the Arby's sauce. You can't go wrong with hot or fire Taco Bell sauce, right?
Oh no, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Taco Bell sounds good. All right.
It does, dude, but it's so far away. All right, man. Thanks, guys. Thanks for checking in on us. We will talk to you guys next Thursday at 8. Again, I'm Paul Meharry. This is Trent Smallwood, the one and only, the elusive man. I had to buy a house in Flowery Branch and then invite him over just to get him on camera for you guys. That's how I got it. Trent asked me, he was like, why'd you move to Flowery Branch? I was like, dude, so we can do a call-in show together.
It's an expensive decision, man.
It was, but I think it's worth it. All right, guys, take it easy. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.